tons of opportunity for it. It is the most diverse industry there is, and it is the most welcoming. And it's what I love about it is it doesn't matter whether you got a degree or not, where you come from. All that matters is, are you willing to show up, be a part of our team, embrace our culture, treat your teammates with respect and love, treat our guests with respect and love. And if so, this industry, the sky's the limit, right? There is no limit if you have that mindset and that mentality in this industry. Don't know other industries that will embrace anybody from anywhere, of any place, of any race,
Why do we do that?
It's a good question, man, because I think the people that are in this industry they're a loving, giving people, and that's what the whole industry is all about. It's giving to others and welcoming people. I mean, what is hospitality? Welcoming people into our home.
I think change happens in the restaurant industry first.
This episode is brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro.
With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, co-owner of Schedulefly and author of Restaurant Owners Uncorked and host of the Restaurant Owners Uncorked podcast, Will Brawly. My man, Will, are you feeling unstoppable today?
I'm feeling unstoppable, man. What a great way to start, dude.
Yeah,
love the energy.
Thank you very much. Got to crank it up a little bit. We're here to inspire, so it's my job.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you were episode 27. You can go back and listen to that episode if you want to. If you're listening to this, I encourage you not to. Because I was so bad back then. Go ahead.
No way, man. I remember doing that, and I remember being so inspired by what you were doing then.
Thank you. It was one of my earliest episodes. I've been a fanboy of Schedulefly ever since. So when I started this podcast, I was all about what are people doing that, what are the little things that the successful restaurants are doing that if I can share this information, I can get this information out to all restaurant owners.
Yeah.
And one of the first things for me was labor management systems. It was systems, processes, procedures, and high on that list was a labor management tool. And I loved Schedulefly because it was exactly what you needed and nothing more.
Right. Yep.
And it was a great tool, and it's so affordable too. It was $10 a month or something like that when you guys, depending on the size of the restaurant.
It's a little bit more, but it's actually, we have the exact same pricing today that we did in 2007.
It's still not much.
No, it's not much at all. It's about 30 or $40 depending on your size.
Yeah. I mean, and the amount of time, and this is going back to 2012. So I just remember thinking it was so innovational, being able to basically put the scheduling in the hands of your team by opening up shifts and also putting in ways to not let the wrong person take a shift from somebody that figuring that all out. You describe what it is, so I'm not.
Yeah, the short version is we started in 2007, and Wes Aiken, who is a co-owner and founder, used to write the schedule in a restaurant in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. The bridge tender wrote it in Excel, which even to this day there's tens of thousands of restaurants that use Excel. And spent 3 hours every Sunday, piecing together a schedule based on, looking at the back of a ticket or a receipt with some chicken scratch, like Joe doesn't want to work Tuesday, whatever. And, it was a lot of work, a lot of time. And he would go down and he would post it at the restaurant, and then immediately the fun ensues because, everything has to start changing. Shifts change. People want to trade shifts. It rains, so you're cutting shifts. So the idea was why instead of doing this thing on Excel and then making all these manual changes and all these phone calls of trying to trade shifts, why not just have this simple software where everything can be done online or on your phone with just a click of a button, save tons of hours, and then also where we can, understand how much is our schedule going to cost us and make sure we're hitting our labor targets and all that kind of stuff. Why not make that just easy, save people all that time and energy? And that was the essence of this business. And 16 years later, here we are.
And the way you just described that is how I try to explain technology to people who are apprehensive to adopt technology.
Yeah.
Listen, you need systems, processes, procedures. You can build your own systems for scheduling.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they're not going to be as good as some software developer who's basically devoted their life to this one problem.
It's all we do is solve one simple problem. And I had somebody tell me recently, she said, look, it took me literally, she said it took me 5 hours every week from creating the schedule to managing the schedule, now it's like 30 minutes. So, I mean, that's a lot of time that you're saving, that you're not working on that stuff, that you're working on building your culture or, entertaining your guests or whatever, something much more important than spending all that time and energy.
Yeah. But you could build it on your own, or you could go plug it into your business and then go and find systems that have been developed and plug them into your business. The amount of time and energy you're going to save will end up in the P&L.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And you can't look at how much more you're spending. You got to think about how much money am I going to save over time.
Yep.
I think Schedulefly was always the go-to example that I would use. So 2012 or 13 is when I first had you on the show, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
What's changed?
It's funny. Well, one of the things I know you always talk about is like success mantra. You want me to share what mine is?
Oh my God, I never did that. I'm out of it today.
That's all right. Yeah. I'll tell you what it is, because it aligns with that question, which is tossing starfish.
Tossing starfish.
Have you ever heard the story of the girl who's tossing starfish back into the ocean?
I have, but I forget it.
Young lady is on the beach, and the tide is going out, and there's just miles and miles of starfish that have been washed up on the beach, and so she's walking along and she's picking them up, and she's tossing them back into the ocean one by one. This man walks along and he sees her doing it. He says, "Well, young lady, I see you tossing starfish back in the ocean. Why are you doing that?" She says, "Well, the tide's gone out, and if they stay out here, they're going to dry up and die, and I don't want them to die. I want them to live, so I'm tossing them in." He's like, "Okay, well, that's nice, but, I'm looking for miles down the beach. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of starfish. Like, what you're doing isn't going to make a difference." And she looks at him, and she picks a starfish up, and she tosses it back in the ocean. And she says, "Made a difference to that one." Well, the reason that's been our mantra all along at Schedulefly. We have a small team of 5 people. We've had the same 5 people for all 16 years that we've been doing this. We've never taken venture capital. We self-funded the business, and we've grown this business through word of mouth, one customer at a time, by just tossing starfish. We take incredibly good care of our customers. It means the world to us if they email us and need something or call us. We treat our customers the same way our customers treat theirs. We're serving people that are in hospitality. We should provide them hospitality too. We should make them feel welcome and appreciated and wonderful every time they interact with our company or our brand in any way. And that's just literally one phone call at a time, one thank you at a time, one interaction at a time, making people feel like we care, that they're not just a number. They're not just, a customer that's a number on a spreadsheet that is on some growth curve. It's just every person matters. And, we've always said, like, every interaction we have, we want it to be special for these folks. And then we can control that. I can't control anything else. We can control providing a good product and taking great care of our guests, our customers. And then everything else, we just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. But I think one of the cool things I love about your story, and I love that story too, it's like, just goes to show, like, it's not, you don't have to be the solution for everybody, but if you can be the solution for the one person that matters, who needs you right now, boom.
Yeah.
But what I love about your company, Schedulefly, is you chose to kind of keep your product simple.
Yes.
Like, in a world where everyone is trying to become like the one-stop shop for everything, you're like, no, this is what we do. Is that right? Am I
look, dude, our software has, it's been a long time since we've made any significant change to it. We've fixed, like, every now and then somebody does some weird series of clicks and it unveils like this little bug or something that we fix, but like, we've kept our software very much the same for a long time. So you asked what's changed since we talked on episode 27 10 years ago. The software itself has barely changed, if at all, for a reason. There are, even to this day, tens of thousands of people out there that are on pencil and paper or Excel or whatever. Like, we can make life easier for them. We can give them a tool that'll free them up and save them time, save them money, save them energy. And then there's, on the other side of this, there's been over $500 million invested just into our space, not restaurant tech, restaurant employee scheduling through private equity and venture capital. And that's fine. There's lots of tools.
Were you first to market?
Hot Schedules was out there before us. But we knew early on that we didn't want to serve chains. And so, because to serve a chain, you're going to have a lot of stuff in there. And then you're kind of going to have to keep doing what they want you to do. Otherwise, like, you're going to lose this big 6-figure contract
also,
or whatever.
How many times has Hot Schedules been passed around?
Right. I mean, it's...
Like, they've been acquired now, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah, they're owned by a British company, which is a private equity out of New York.
And Redbox for a while or something like that.
So it's, which is fine. Look, I mean, we stay in our lanes. We know what our lane is. Our lane is, like, if you want a simple solution and you value great customer service and it's important to you who you do business with, we're a wonderful solution. If you need lots of bells and whistles and integrations and all that, like, we don't even integrate with point of sales. We don't, and we won't.
Why won't you?
Because we did it a little bit a few years back, and all the things that we thought would happen happened.
What were you worried about happening?
Okay, so right now, today, if something happens with Schedulefly, like something goes awry, we fix it right now.
Yeah.
Boom, done. You build an integration. You got 2 systems talking together. Okay, it sounds great. Like, the idea of integrations is fantastic. Like, oh, it's all just like this. Everything is, hand in glove, and it just syncs up. And it does.
Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah, until something changes.
Okay, so somebody changes something over here and doesn't realize the cascading effect, and all of a sudden this integration breaks and you got a problem. Well, so we do that. Now we got a customer calling saying, hey, the integration isn't working. We need you to fix this. We're trying to run a restaurant here. And we're going, oh, okay, no problem. Oh, we can't. We got to get the people over at the point of sale company. Oh, we got to get a ticket? Like, wait a minute. No, guys, this needs to be fixed right now. They have a different mentality, right? So then, like, we lose control. We've lost control of the situation. Now we got a customer who's never been upset with Schedulefly for any reason whatsoever, who we've said, oh, look, this integration, it'll make things better. Well, now it's making things worse, and they're upset. And we don't want to point a finger. So we just said, you know what? No. Like, if you need that stuff, man, there's like a bunch of options. Like, there's a bunch of companies that do that. There's a bunch of companies that have a lot of bells and whistles. There's a place for that. But if you just want a really simple, clean tool, and you want to make sure that that when you call, you're going to get an answer, you're not going to get a ticket in a long line. Like, I mean, my personal cell phone is on our website right now, I think in 2 places. When I'm not doing what I'm doing right now, traveling for this podcast or whatever, our 800 number calls come to me to this day, and I'll never change that. I love interacting with our customers. And you know why?
Why?
Because every time I get to talk to a customer,
you're throwing that starfish back in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So who would you say your target market is today? Your ideal customer?
It is. It's, look, I mean, I've actually been surprised, Eric, because first of all, if you asked me in 2007, okay, 16 years from now, will any restaurants not have a scheduling software? I'd be like, of course not. No, they'll all have it. I mean, they'll have one within like 5 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. We probably have a 5 or 10 year. To this day, there's tens of thousands of restaurants out there that don't. My daughter works for one. I mean, she literally works for a place where they take a screenshot of an Excel spreadsheet, and this is a 19-year-old, right? And she gets an email.
She's not like trying to help you out, Dad. Like, hey, my dad runs this company.
She has. That's the crazy thing. Like, but she gets an email with a screenshot of a spreadsheet to her and all of her 19, 20, 23, 24-year-old staff. And that's her schedule. And then if anybody wants to try to trade shifts, they have their own text string that the staff created themselves to try to. It's crazy, but that's good for us because I mean, like, eventually you think, okay, well, they're probably going to grow into something. So we're like perfect for all these folks that are growing into something. We occasionally have people that will outgrow us, if you will, where they say, look, this has been great. We've been using it 5 years. We want the integrations now. And I used to think that we could only serve, restaurants or groups that got to a certain size, and they're all going to outgrow us eventually because they're going to want all that other stuff.
Right.
Well, I've got evidence now, clear as day. I've got groups with 15 to 20. We have groups with 15 to 20 locations, 500, 600, 800 employees, very successful groups.
Probably because you threw them back in the sea when they remember that.
Well, you know what? But here's the thing. Okay, let me give you an example of like why somebody might want an integration. You say, okay, well, we made this schedule, and Sarah is supposed to come in at 10 a.m. and work until 4 p.m. and then I know what that costs, so I've got my labor budget. I know I'm within budget. But what if Sarah checks in 10 minutes early? If she clocks in early, then that costs me 10 minutes extra of labor, and then you multiply that across X number of locations. So we need a system to control that. So if I integrate and the schedule populates into the point of sale, Sarah can't clock in early. It's impossible for her to do it unless the manager needs her to come in early. Then he or she has to stop what they're doing to go over there and manipulate the point of sale to let them in. Okay, but that's a systemic way to monitor behavior, right? Where we need this system to prevent you from clocking in early. Then you see folks that use Schedulefly that have 15 or 20 locations and all these employees. Well, what I've learned is these are all ones that have this phenomenal culture, and a big part of their culture is trust and teamwork and transparency and helping their staff understand why, if you're scheduled at 10, you don't clock in before 10 unless they ask you to, and they monitor it that way. They don't need a system to do it for them. It's part of their culture. So we've got these places that, Big Red F out there for 12 years now or whatever, and they've got 16, 17 locations, one of the greatest groups in the country, and they love Schedulefly.
And that, honestly, that's where I see that's the niche I see Schedulefly feeding right now, what you described as entry level. If you're trying to get entry, like if you you want to scale to like 5 or 6 locations, but you got to start where you are now, and that one of the most impactful things I can do is systematize my scheduling to take that burden off my managers. Schedulefly, but if you do have the budget for an enterprise solution like a Restaurant 365 or a Restaurant Systems Pro, my sponsor, I feel like I see, and I hope this doesn't come out wrong, but I see Schedulefly being a stepping stone, a solution until you're ready for one of those things, and it's better than nothing. It's amazing. Is really what it is for what it does. That's how I see it.
And those are two great companies. We actually have customers that use those companies either or for almost everything, but they
still just like
there's every technology, everything just keeps getting more and more and more, and there's just a place, I think, for a lot of people for just, I know this. Like if you look at Craigslist, you ever use Craigslist?
Not so much. I have for like apartments and stuff like that.
I mean, Craigslist looks kind of like it did.
Yeah, it hasn't
15.
changed.
It hasn't changed, and you know what to do. And it's kind of refreshing when you go there, like, okay, I just do this and this. I don't have to re-educate it works. It does its thing, and we've kind of taken that same approach. Like, I mean, the interface is not some sleek. It's basic, it's simple, it's clean, and it just works. And if you need something, you're going to get us. And people like that in a world where they're constantly having to learn and change and do.
Yeah. So, but it hasn't just been Schedulefly that's been your evolution, because you started a podcast.
Yeah.
And when did that come out?
Oh, the funny thing is, so Eric, we had, when we started, we had a blog, and our blog would be like, oh, we added this new feature or whatever it was. Well, first of all, we knew we weren't going to be adding a ton of stuff, so we were going to run out of content. Second of all, we were like, who cares? Like, I mean, do we really want a blog talking about us? So I started calling some of our customers that own restaurants. Just said, man, can I record our phone conversation and then take the audio file and just put it on our blog and maybe write some notes about our conversation. And
was this before or after the book?
This is before the book. This is what led to the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I go in and I would just literally, I had like a $35 mic that plugged into my USB, and I had I think at the time.
Was it like a little ball?
Yeah, I mean, it was like it was like a little thin mic, and it just plugged in, and I would call people on speakerphone, and I would hold it, and I would just record the conversation, and then we would embed it into our blog, and I would write some summary notes and everything, and then we realized, we were like, okay, well, this content's really good. like these are some, I mean, like Dave Query was one of them. Scott Maitland here at Top of the Hill was one of them, where I'm like, these people they're so smart, they're intentional, they're thoughtful, they're good at what they do, they've built great businesses, they can articulate it really well, like, and nobody's really listening to or going to our blog and like, well, how do we get this out there? And that was what led to the idea for the book, because you could just, by then you could self-publish a book. So just recorded a bunch of interviews and, edited them down and sat there for 8 months at my desk for like 6 or 8 hours a day, like literally myself, like transcribing, and I suck at typing. And it took, however long, probably 8 or 9 months to get this into a format. And then we put that book out there and kind of told our customers about it, and it did really well. And then I realized the book was, I mean, we sold a lot of books. It was good, but what I really wanted to capture was the emotion and the passion. You can't do that as well with the written word. It's why your podcast is so good, because you can capture where somebody really comes alive, right? Where you hit on a topic where they just light up. And you can't capture that in a book. You can capture it in audio, you can capture it in video. And so that's when we started thinking, okay, well, and I was an early adopter of podcasts. I liked listening to podcasts. And so we started doing that. And then we started making some films, which we did for a long time, of just going and sharing these stories in a format that was, people could listen and watch. We did films for a while. That got expensive. We hadn't done one in a little while, but.
What was the film? I didn't know you had a film. Was that just?
We did a series of restaurant owners uncorked. What we would do is like if you go to Schedulefly's website and you click the media link, we still have some of those films on there. One of them is called The Story of Sup Dogs. You should have Brett Oliverio on your podcast. Sup Dogs is in Greenville, North Carolina, and then here in Chapel Hill. Are they off of
Wake Forest Road?
No, they're in Chapel Hill on Franklin Street, and they're down in Greenville, North Carolina, where East Carolina is.
Okay.
Sup Dogs, that story is the coolest story I've come across, period, in all these years.
Wow.
Watch the film. Let's just say that we made like a 6-minute film about Brett, the owner, and his story, and how his brother had started that restaurant, and a tragedy, and what's happened since. That film will make you tear up, and it'll make you cheer.
I will try to get that in the show notes. We'll link to it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's on our site. Actually, if you go to Sup Dogs, they have it on there. I mean, we did it probably 6 years ago. They still to this day have it on their website. Sup as in S-U-P, sup, like sup, yeah. Supdogs.com. But it's on their website. And I've just always, like you, man, I like sharing stories. I like hearing people's stories. I like sharing their stories.
It's a great excuse to travel.
It's a great excuse to travel. I don't travel as much. Your energy, man. When you tell me your travel schedule, it's amazing. I travel some. I'm doing a lot of these via Zoom now. But again, for us, the podcast is it's a way to. You've talked about this. We talked about this earlier. People want to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
They want to feel like they matter. They want to feel. I mean, everybody loves sharing their story. Now, some don't want to share it on a podcast or whatever, but some do, and it's a great way for us to get to know our customers and share their stories.
I think now's a good time to take our first break to thank our sponsors. We'll be right back to talk about how your perspective of the industry has changed. How many episodes have you recorded? You've been around for a while now.
We're 470 something.
Yeah, you've learned a thing or two.
Yeah,
for sure. We'll be right back.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no strings attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below.
We're back. So I want to know, how has your perspective on the industry changed, if at all, since starting this podcast?
Well, I thought that, much like you, I thought I would learn a lot, and I always had this dream. I was like, I want to have my own restaurant one day. I don't want to have my own restaurant now. I'm a fan of the game. I love the game. I love the people in this industry. I have come to appreciate and respect the people that are in this industry more than I could have ever imagined that I would when we started with Schedule Fly. I mean, Wes had this idea. Wes created the software. Wes has written all of our code. I had worked as like a busser one summer and made sauce in one summer, but I didn't have any real appreciation for what it takes to be successful in this industry. I didn't have any real appreciation for how dynamic and diverse and amazing and colorful and fun and thoughtful and intentional and giving the people in this industry are, until we started serving the industry at Schedule Fly, until I started, doing the podcast and working on the book and interviewing all these folks. I mean, my level of respect and appreciation for this industry is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. I love what we do. I love our business. I love every single day. I love the people we serve. Truly heartfelt. Don't think that I have it in me to do it. But I absolutely love being a part of it in some tangential way, and hopefully adding something to the mix. I mean, part of the last thing about the podcast would be that, as you've said, this is an industry of people that give. They constantly give. They're always giving, and they give back to the communities they serve in. And so we thought, okay, look, we're serving hospitality. A, we should provide them the same level of service that they would provide their customers. And B, what can we do to give back to the community we serve? Well, sharing stories and creating content that inspires and educates is one thing.
So what are the biggest lessons you've learned? The things that just weren't even on your radar? How's your perspective? Obviously you now know how difficult it is, but what are the commonalities? What's the best advice you see pop up time and time again? What are the patterns?
Well, I think that, the guys you had on here earlier, Dave and Dave, have nailed a lot of that. I mean, I find that the folks that that I've gotten to know well, that I have a massive amount of respect for, are very humble. They're very giving. They are always deflecting attention. They are extremely hardworking, and they care very, very deeply about the people on their team and the people that they serve and the people in their community. I mean, there's no industry that I know of where with just consistently amazing people as the restaurant industry.
Yeah. So was that news to you? Like, you knew that, right?
I didn't know the industry well enough to truly know that. I mean, you grew up in it. You got it. I didn't. I didn't really know that. I just thought this is a good software, and I think, and restaurants will use this and this. But no, not until I really started to get in. And now I'm at a point where, like, I'll go and travel, and I'll become friends with customers. I'll stay in their homes, and and the craziest thing is, it never turns off, right? Like I mentioned Dave Query, when I stay with he and Dana, it's hospitality in their home. It's they're look. I'll go look. Maybe you need some. Can I make you some coffee? Like it's in their DNA, and it just never stops. And I find that to be a wonderful, just amazing aspect of the people that really truly are the best at what they do in this industry.
I'm curious, because something I'm trying to be better about here at Restaurant Unstoppable is not so much focusing on the past, but focusing on the present and the future. So along those lines, like where do you think we're headed based off the interviews? Do you talk about the future of the industry a lot in the show?
We do. I mean, one of the things that I've talked a lot about recently has been just the industry has finally, I think, collectively started to recognize the importance of mental health, of physical health, of financial health, of self-care, of providing a true career path for people, not just a stopover. It's getting better at it. There's a lot of work to be done. It's an industry that's had so many issues for so long that in a very healthy way are being addressed substance abuse has been an issue. You've got wonderful opportunities now. Like you look at what Steve Palmer and the folks at Ben's Friends are doing. I mean, these are great things that this industry needs to continue to just to foster.
Yeah. I think it's crazy. I think we don't, as a human race, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit. We talk about like transformation over time. Like I'm 37, soon to be 38 in a couple months. And I just think about the way the world's changed since I've been around. On like a socio-political standpoint, like, and I hate to get political here, but when like I was a kid, like it wasn't like a big deal to call somebody like a fag. You know what I mean? Like that's just what you like. It was just a word you used.
Yeah.
And I'm only using that in context right now. I would never use that word
Sure.
to call somebody. But like, we just threw it around, and it wasn't a big deal. I'm like, if you did anything that would even suggest you might be gay, like you're like, oh my God, my life's over. You know
right.
what I mean? And like, that's just one example of a socio-political transformation where I think today people just don't care.
No.
It's like an aftermath. I mean, that's only in like, 30 years, and I think about even just just any spectrum of just some social political like vertical. We're just learning so much, and people are getting access to information like so fast, and no matter where you are, we have access to information. So I think there's this crazy cultural evolution happening right now, faster than ever before at any other point, and it's only getting faster. Like what's the future? What are your thoughts on the future?
Man, that's a deep one, bro. I'll say specifically with the restaurant industry is. There is no industry in the world that is as diverse and welcoming and caring of. Look, it's the most meritocratic industry there is. It doesn't matter your race, your socioeconomic background.
This industry creates opportunity for diversity.
It creates tons of opportunity for it. It is the most diverse industry there is, and it is the most welcoming. And it's what I love about it is it doesn't matter whether you got a degree or not, where you come from. All that matters is, are you willing to show up, be a part of our team, embrace our culture, treat your teammates with respect and love, treat our guests with respect and love. And if so, this industry, the sky's the limit, right? There is no limit if you have that mindset and that mentality in this industry. I don't know other industries that will embrace anybody from anywhere, of any place, of any race.
Why do we do that?
Why does the restaurant industry do that? It's a good question, man, because I think the people that are in this industry they're a loving, giving people, and that's what the whole industry is all about. It's giving to others and welcoming people. I mean, what is hospitality? Welcoming people into our home.
I think change happens in the restaurant industry first. And this is why when I say like my mission statement is to inspire, empower, and transform the industry. And if we transform the industry, we transform the world. Because if this industry has so much influence. You saw it first, if you're new to this country, like you don't speak the language, like you're likely going to, get a job in a restaurant first, right? Yeah. So there's that. Also, we tend to hire the people who can't get jobs anywhere else.
Yep.
We're a point of entry back into society for villains, or just first time entry for like young people who have ulterior perspectives. Sometimes young people generally tend to be more forward thinking.
Yep.
So you have to accommodate their perspectives because they're your employees,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And then I think about like the whole world, like tattoos, like 15, 20 years ago, like you had to cover up your tattoos.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was just kind of like, the restaurant industry was like, I can't find anybody who doesn't have tattoos, so fuck it. Like, go sleeveless.
Roll up your sleeves and go for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and we just embraced it. So we embrace change like no other industry.
Yeah.
And I think what ends up happening is the world catches up to us.
The restaurant industry is the leading, bleeding edge of change.
In many ways, we're so slow to change. In terms of technology.
Yeah.
But at the same time, because if we can fast track the restaurant industry to the leading edge of evolution, then I think that the restaurant industry is the only industry that has the ability to really influence everybody else, because we are an industry of influencers.
Yep.
It's what we do.
Yeah, and I think the industry is embracing technology a lot faster these days. I mean, there's a massive amount of technology, a massive amount of investment into the industry.
I think you're a beautiful example of just how guilty the industry has been over time of being narrow-minded. Like, we serve food, but the truth is this industry spins so much other opportunity for satellite industry. And if you're somebody who has solved a problem within the restaurant industry, there's a good chance there's 1,000 other people with the same problem as you. You can turn that problem into a product.
Yeah.
And like, that's what's happening right now. You're seeing it all the time.
Yeah.
You know? So like this, I don't know, like, it's such a cool industry. You know, like
Amen. I mean, I love it, dude. Look, like I said, I'm a fan of the game. I mean, I think that if you can be successful in this industry, look, I mean, you have to, the number of things you have to learn, and whether it's learning and delegating, but just the number of things that you have to figure out in this industry. You touch every aspect of the economy. Yeah. If you can run a successful restaurant or group of restaurants and keep your cool and not get burned out and do it for a long time and figure out that alchemy of, like, you know, embracing your skill sets and delegating and leading this group of people, I just find it, like, I have so much respect for it. I think it's very, very hard, because at the end of the day, it's a tough industry, and it's any single moment of any single day or any single night could lead to Lord knows what kind of disasters. And I watch people handle stuff with such calm and such cool, and I just think that that's a special skill.
Yeah, and it's also just like transferable life skills. And that's, I think, one of the things that, like, I get really excited about in this industry is we touch so many young lives.
Yeah.
Most people's first job is either retail or the restaurant industry. And I'm pretty sure the restaurant industry is winning on that front. Most people's first job is the restaurant industry.
Oh, for sure.
And where we're going with the restaurant industry, with open book management and like treating our little businesses like real businesses, we are taking these lessons and we're injecting them into the next generation of professionals from the get-go. Yeah. These people who are very very malleable, right? So not only are we giving them these business skills with like open book management, but we're also saying, hey, like, here are our values, and here's how you should treat people. And I don't know, man, there's just no better industry to influence the next generation of professionals. Yeah. So like, that's the shit that gets me excited about the country.
I love it, man.
Yeah, like, we have it, but we have to be aware of it.
Yeah.
You know, like, you have to be aware of it to make change.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of stuff that kind of gets me excited about this podcast. What gets you excited about your podcast?
Oh man, I mean, look, you know, we have a business to run, and I love running Schedulefly. I love everything I do with Schedulefly. If I could just talk to people all day long for our podcast, I would do it. I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people. I like learning from people. I like sharing stories. It is a great way, personally, for me to get to know our customers. I mean, you got to keep in mind, like, we have close to 6,000 restaurants that use Schedulefly. They pay us an average, you know, whatever, 30, 40, 50 bucks a month or whatever it is. Like, you know, like it's hard to have any one-on-one connection when that's it, right? That's our whole platform, and it's just this simple software, and, you know, it's not some big investment where it's a long sales cycle. I mean, we've never even made a sales call, right? We don't do demos. So I very much like to be customer facing. I like to talk to customers. It's why I get the calls. I enjoy these conversations more than anything. And again, like, I mean, it's every podcast is a starfish. I mean, it's a way for me to get to know people on a much deeper level than just, hey, they're a customer. Like, I don't look at any customer as, like, we don't have like a spreadsheet with, like, you know, we're looking at our ARR and our customer acquisition. I mean, our customer acquisition cost is zero. Like, it's just word of mouth, right? So we're very different than most businesses in that way. It's just every single person that we serve, I can't touch all of them individually, but every one I can is just important to me because I care about the people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so easy to care about the people in this industry.
It totally is.
Because it's what goes around comes around. You know, like you said, like, this is the expectation that this is what our customers do for their guests, and we should reciprocate and give our customers what, you know, what goes around comes around, you know.
I've worked in other industries. I've had customers in other industries. They've been jobs and things that I did, but this is like, I never want to stop working in or around or tangentially to the restaurant industry.
Well, actually, now's a good time to take a break, thank our sponsors, and we'll continue this vein of thought.
We have to interrupt today's video to let you know that right now, Restaurant Systems Pro is offering a no strings attached 60-day trial that will help you improve your systems, increase your profit, and find better work-life balance. All you have to do is click the link below.
We're back, and we were just talking about this industry and how it influences, and I think that we're coming to this point where the pendulum's swinging in a direction where the restaurant industry is going to become leading edge, because you look at a lot of our issues, it's around energy and waste, right? And how much of the world's pollution comes from food and waste? A big chunk of it.
Yeah.
We throw away, like, I think I heard, like, we throw away 50% of the food we make. Meanwhile, there's people starving, and then there's the waste, the byproduct, the packaging associated with food. I feel like the more we learn, the more we realize that the restaurant industry is part of that solution. Because if we can start, moving the food closer to the restaurants and then serving people on a plate, like, the carbon footprint to that is far less than packaging it in, like, it's like almost like decentralizing, decommercializing the food, the food industry, but into a hospitality industry.
Yeah.
And, like, you look at, like, leaders like Danny Meyer, right, with, like, Enlightened Hospitality and his perspectives and how that influenced. He wrote that as a business book, not for the restaurant industry, but for all industries.
Yeah.
And then you have now Will Guidera with Unreasonable
Hospitality.
And, like, the restaurant industry's taken over, man. I feel like it's happening. I'm making this statement right now. I'm calling it.
You're calling it. Well, I mean, yes, it is. It has the opportunity to be on the very leading edge of that. No doubt about it.
I was talking with earlier when we were talking to Dave, and Dave, like, I had this idea, and this is me just dreaming. I don't know the real economics of this, but I like to, and I joke that if I'm ever president, I'm going to lobby for a hospitality-driven economy, or like global hospitality, where instead of moving foods and goods to people, I think we should move the people to the foods and goods, and bring the money from, like, the first world countries into the second world countries and the third world countries, and give people market value. Not even market value, but like, hey, you want bananas? You want pineapples? Go to where they're grown and support that economy.
Yeah.
And bring some back. You want them to ship those to you? Great. I think you should pay through the nose, personally. Like, if you have to ship something across the world to get to you, like, you should pay a stupid tax on that. Everyone's probably shaking their head, like, why would you say this, Eric? But, like,
I see what you're saying. I mean, right now, privileged. Yeah. Oh, we're very privileged, man. We have access to everything we want.
That, like, you're going to encourage people to use more strawberries and blueberries if you're from the Northeast.
Yeah.
Like, that grows here.
Yeah.
Like, how do we utilize what we have? And then you reduce carbon footprint. You're keeping money in communities. And if you want those things when they're in season, you're going to have a huge tourism. Like, people are going to come. It's blueberry season in Maine. Like, let's go,
Yep. Well, you mentioned a couple of really great leaders. And I mean, there's lots of those folks in this industry, and they are continuing to push the edge of, like, how do we get our, first of all, what is local food? Like, how do you define local? But that, yes, the industry is moving in that direction. The industry has the opportunity to lead in that direction. I think about, like, one of my influences is the company Patagonia and Yvonne Chouinard, who, built this great business, but then constantly said, like, look, okay, so we make clothes. We have a big footprint. Like, how do we continue to decrease that footprint? The reason we have, organic cotton now is he figured out how to go out and make shirts out of organic cotton, or the dyes that we use. Like, so people like that, that are leaders in that in an industry, can go out and use technology and use their passion and make change that, then everybody embraces. Right. And I think there's people in this industry in the hospitality that are doing that now.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say like Danny Meyer and some of his peers.
I'm thinking of Prakash, and I'm sorry, Prakash, I'm not going to be able to say your last name. It's a beautiful last name. I will butcher it. But he's one of the co-founders of Balance Grill, and I think they're based out of Idaho. I don't know Idaho. What's that city in Ohio? It's northwest. You know what I'm talking about? Just between. I'm drawing a blank.
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh my God, it's killing. But in Ohio, Balance Grill. Totally blown away by what these guys are doing. They vertically integrated hydroponics into their operation.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and they're literally, like, the food goes across the hall to the restaurant. And this technology is available.
Yeah.
Like, we can all replicate this. We're reducing the carbon footprint. We're vertically integrating, our businesses, creating more opportunity outside of just serving food, but like jobs for farmers.
Yeah.
And it's like, to the point you're trying to make, it just takes one person that's willing to figure it out. And once you figure it out, you have the blueprint, you know? But I think what kind of scares me sometimes is the people who are figuring out this stuff, like the robotics and like the farming. They're still holding their information close to their chest because it's cutting edge. Yeah. They don't want trade secrets being let out. But I kind of wish people would be more.
Some will. They will.
Yeah. I'm thinking of what is that restaurant? Daniel Ballou bought it. He's a partner. It's a Spice. They use the induction burners.
Okay.
And it's all like robotic.
Yeah.
But they're like refuse to talk about their technology. It's like, fuck 'em. Come on, guys. Like,
Come
I
on.
realize this is
Right.
a capitalistic country, but like, share that information. Let's be a part of the change.
Somebody else will figure that out.
Yeah,
then
they'll figure it out eventually. You're right. But I just feel like so much good happens when we share knowledge.
Yeah. I could not agree more.
Yeah.
That's why we're here, right? Yeah.
Will, this has been a lot of fun, dude. We're still shy of an hour. So if there's anything else you want to talk about, we can get it out.
Man, look, Eric, I appreciate the opportunity. Like you, I love the industry. I think the passion and energy and enthusiasm and thought and intention that you put into what you do is infectious. It's contagious. I love it. I'm proud of you for what you've done. We did talk 10 years ago, and I listened to this young man telling me about traveling around in his car and wanting to build this podcast. And man, there's just certain people where there's a lot of people that want to do things. There's a lot of people that have ideas. Everybody has ideas, but then there's those that actually go and do it. And I could tell then, I knew you were going to do it. I've been telling people ever since, and here you are.
Thank you.
It's been amazing to watch. I'm a huge, huge fan. When you have your restaurant or your restaurant group one day, it's going to be absolutely amazing. But until then, I just keep doing what you're doing because it does matter. And look, you think really big. You have big, grand visions, and you want to change the world, and you think restaurants should be changing the world. And man, look, for anything to happen in any business, it just takes energy. It just takes energy. Energy is what makes things happen. And if somebody's putting the energy in, it's like, Yvonne Chouinard at Patagonia. I mean, they amazing change. It's just one person with care, passion, and energy can move mountains, and you're doing it, dude.
Thank you.
And you should be proud of yourself.
I appreciate that. And I am proud. So thank you very much for that recognition. And likewise, man, you're impressive too with your podcast, doing what you're doing, sharing the knowledge. You have a whole product behind it. I can't even imagine how you're doing the podcast and managing the business on the back end of that. So, I mean, it's impressive, and you're providing a great service to the industry in Schedule Fly.
Thank you, man.
It's helping a lot of people, and I love that you're throwing the starfish back in, man.
We toss them back in every day. We can't toss them all, but you know what? It makes a difference to each one.
So how do we connect with you? If we enjoy listening to your conversation, where are you? Where can we find you?
Just go to schedulefly.com. That's our website. If you want to try Schedulefly, we do a 30-day free trial. If you want to hear the podcast, click the media link. You'll see the story of Sup Dogs and some other films. You'll see links to the podcast. My personal cell phone number is right there I know it's on the free trial sign up page. It may be somewhere else, but you are literally welcome to take that number and call me direct or text me. I'm happy to talk to you anytime about any of this stuff.
And this is episode 1010. Head over to restaurantunstoppable.com/1010. We'll link to Schedulefly over there, and we'll have a summary of today's discussion. And Will, it was so great to meet you in person, man. Known you for over 10 years, or almost 10 years now. And you're just as pleasant in person as you are over Zoom. And everyone just has amazing things to say about you. So,
likewise, brother. Appreciate it.
Cheers, my man. Cut it there. Oh, wait. I almost forgot to ask you. I gotta have you call somebody out. Who's really impressing you today? Somebody you respect and admire. Somebody you think I need to get on the show.
Is it need to be somebody around here or? Okay. Well, I would Brett Oliveria, Sup Dogs.
All right.
Yes. Check it. Watch the video. When you watch the film, you're going to want to talk to him.
Got it. Brett, look out, man. I'm coming after you. I'd love to get you on the show. And you already said restaurant owner. Sorry. Schedule fly. Jesus. I haven't slept much lately.
It's all good, man.
Schedulefly.com. We'll link to that in the show notes too. 1010. Thanks, Will.
Thank you.
Cheers.